So, just to introduce myself, it is truly a pleasure for me to have the privilege to interview you. My name is Jamin Tan, and besides being the Deputy Secretaries General for this Malaysian Model United Nations Conference, I also serve as a media associate for the Asian and Pacific region for Best Delegate, which is an organization that offers all global resources for MUN. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Marina Mahathir. I'm a writer, essentially, and an activist. I write a column in the local English paper, and I've done that for over 20 years. But I've also been active in many social causes. First, in HIV/AIDS, I led the Malaysian AIDS Council for 12 years. And now I work mostly on women's rights, particularly Muslim women's rights, but also in human rights in general.
All right, that's great. We're so honored to have you as our guest speaker for this conference.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks. So, as the theme for the 13th annual session of MIMAN is Advancing Equity, what does advancing equity mean to you?
Well, I was very interested to see this theme for your conference because there's a bit of tension, especially among women's rights groups, about the term equity as opposed to equality. What we've been fighting for all this time is actually equality. And when we were negotiating the Beijing Platform for Action, for example, which is the action document for women's rights after the Convention for the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, the progressive women's rights groups were pushing for the word equality to be put in because in so many parts of the world, actually everywhere, women are treated as less than equal, as inferior to men. However, the conservative women's groups were pushing for the word equity because they said that men and women can never be the same. Obviously, biologically, we are not the same. And there are things that men cannot do, like give birth to babies.
Right.
However, that's not what we mean by equality. We are not striving to make men and women biologically the same.
Right.
But what we are saying is that there should be equal opportunities, equal access to education, to job opportunities, equal access to decision-making positions, etc. And then we'll have what we call substantive equality. The way to get there, of course, knowing that not everybody starts on a level playing field, that women particularly have structural barriers to how to achieve equality, then we have to provide measures that promote equity,
Right.
so that everyone has the same opportunity to get what they want and to be what they want, etc.
All right, that's great. So, you already mentioned a little bit about you and your personal experiences with equity and equality, but why do you believe equity or equality is important?
Well, I think that the main goal that we should be targeting is equality.
Right.
Because there's really, no reason to treat another human being as unequal to you for whatever reason, whether it's because they're different gender, different race, different religion, different nationality, different social status, etc. And the way to do that is to recognize that there are these differences and find some way of making sure that those differences are not what stands in the way of equality or used as an advantage for equality. Like if you're a certain race, then you have more opportunity than others. So the idea is to give people an equal chance and to be fair to everyone. So I think these are very, very important concepts. Equity leads to equality, but I think we should always remain focused that equality is what we want.
Right.
Without equality, if there are inequalities in all these different factors, then we're looking at a recipe for a lot of social disturbance, violence even, wars even, because of the injustice of
All right. So I know that you are a Malaysian social and political advocate. And why do you think equity is not only, or equality is not only important worldwide, but especially in Malaysia?
Well, I think every country has its inequality problems. We call them social injustice problems. In Malaysia, I think in terms of economic development, we are of course ahead of a lot of other countries in the developing world. However, there are still gaps which need to be addressed. Where there's a big difference between the richest and the poorest, and that affects them in so many ways. Access to schooling, for instance, if you think of the native tribes in Sabah and Sarawak who live in the jungles, their children, if they stay with their parents, they get virtually no education, or they have to go to boarding school very, very far away in order to get education. So, if you look at that as a problem of inequality, then you have to find ways to address those problems, which obviously, is going to be different for a child in a city in the peninsula, for example. So those are different problems, right? So there are many things to be done. I work mostly on justice and equality for women, particularly Muslim women. So there are many issues in the laws and policies that affect women, in how the courts treat women, etc. So those are the things that I've been working on, and I think they're really, really quite crucial, because we believe that if you have inequality in the family, then you will have inequality in the society. So if you address it at the family level, the family being the main unit of society, then you will also be helping to address it in society.
Right. So do you have any last remarks on just equity or equality, or anything to say to the Model United Nations community?
Well, I think it's fantastic that schools are having this Model United Nations conference and discussing all these issues at your age, because I think it's very important to instill these ideas of social justice, of the inequalities in the world that need to be addressed at your age, because hopefully when you go out and work, at least some of you will be interested in working on these issues, whether with the UN or with NGOs. And even if you go into the corporate world or do whatever else you do, you'll still be aware and will be willing to help address these issues in other ways. I think you might know social entrepreneurship, where people do business, which has a beneficial impact on societies, is now really gaining ground. It's a major trend, and I think it's because people are really more aware and really want to do much more humane things in the world. So I congratulate you for your conference, and I wish you all the best. And I look forward to one day seeing some of you leading the charge in addressing these inequality issues.
All right, thank you so much, Datin Marina Mahathir. It's truly an honor for me to be given the opportunity to interview you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.